And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Dragons and Demon Podcast with host Kevin Perry, the podcast about real motivation.
Hello and welcome back to Dragons and Demons Podcast, the podcast about motivation. Today is a very special episode for me, and I've been excited for this. I've been really driving for this opportunity the whole time. But first, and that's speaking about my guest, of course. But first, let's roll into a couple of things for the week. So this week, a couple updates. I recorded the last two episodes like 2 weeks ago. And the second one, I apologize, didn't make it to YouTube. There was some video errors. Again, I'm still new to this. I'm producing it all by myself. So there's been some hiccups. There's been some issues. I will get there. It'll get better. I promise it will. A lot of fun in those last two episodes. First recording, the episode I did with former quarterback Danny Gray. That was incredible. That was something I've been looking forward to doing throughout this entire time of doing podcasts, and bringing up former players was a goal of mine. I thought it would be awesome to bring on former players, and Danny was a really good first person to have on because he was the first quarterback we had, and he was one that in a really tough program at its worst, he was one that kind of kept it all in perspective for me. Now, there were a couple other players that kind of kept things going for me when I was early in my career and didn't know if I wanted to stick it out, and maybe I'll have those people on here soon. So that was an awesome conversation. Really opened up the door for a bunch of new ideas and opportunities that I've had, and things that I'm going to keep going. So a great relationship with Danny, came a long way. It'll continue to grow, and I really appreciate having him on. The one prior to that was Brubaker, Brandon Brubaker, and that was another one that I was like, this is on my list. I'm going to do it. I just want to kind of time it up right. Brew is an awesome guy. He's a great coach. He's a great mentor for me. He's someone that really came on strong and helped me out, has helped me out, continues to help me out, and he's starting to get some of the accolades that he deserves. So appreciate both of them, and my next guest is going to be great, but before that, there's a couple of things I want to run through. I want to do a quote of the week, and I know I missed the last couple of weeks as I piled those episodes on, but I'm going to kind of bring those back. So I've been kind of bouncing back and forth between these two quotes, and one is very generic and very general, but it's really been, in the last 2 days, kind of how I've lived my perspective. The old quote of live every moment like it's your last, and that just, for me, it's really hit home. Today I kind of took a day where I milled around, I rested, I didn't have work today, so I just kind of relaxed, and you need those days, you need those recovery days. I got my workout in, but I didn't do the extra stuff that I normally do. Again, I think those things are important, but I have like a list of goals and plans, and for this podcast and for other things in my life, I have a list of things that I want to accomplish. And if I sit around and have a lot of these rest days and I just get caught up in the world of TikTok and video games and things and lose myself, those goals aren't going to get accomplished. So first thing tomorrow when I wake up, it's a business day, and tomorrow is a Sunday, but it's going to be a business day where I'm going to be cracking into some of these things that I really want to accomplish. We're hitting that rut of the end of the school year where it's really a grind to finish out the school year. The emotions of kids getting excited for college, and some kids kind of skating by hoping that they can graduate, and all the parent meetings and all the end of the year meetings and all the concluding things that really, it's exhausting, and it's going to take a lot out of me. But at the end of the day, I'm stronger than this, and I will come through, and I will do my best, and I'm still going to grow in this process. So living every moment like your last, to me, is so much bigger than that. I mean, I've seen people live their last moments, and man, it can be the realization of knowing that life is fleeting. That I'm now 34 years old. If I was living on my dad's timeline, I'd have 12 years left. That is, wow. I can't even put into words how much more life I need to live just to justify and feel good about things. And I'm proud of everything I've accomplished. I'm very proud of my life, but there's so much more I want to do. And I just want to live every second as if it's the last moment. So that's going to be the mission moving forward, is going to continue to grow this podcast and grow professionally and in business and in personal life and even in bodybuilding and whatever I do in that venture. But my full effort's going to go into everything. And it always kind of has, but it's just that perspective is really growing here. The other quote that was kind of pieced together from a TikTok video on motivation, it was just these two guys going back and forth saying, the guy was saying, this is heavy, things are heavy. And the guy responded, find strength. And then he said, do not quit, keep going. Things do get heavy, and things get heavy in life, and things get heavy at work, and things get heavy in the weight room, and things get heavy with responsibilities that you have. And we've talked about it before when I had the episode with Danny Charlone. Life is not going anywhere. Things are not going to get lighter for you. As a man, as the man of the house, as an adult, as a father of two, as a husband, things are not going to get lighter for me. So I have to find the strength. And in your personal life and your responsibilities in life, things aren't going to get lighter for you. So you've got to find the strength. You've got to keep going forward. Times do get easier, but then you really have to figure, is it getting easier or am I just stagnant? And that's always been a place for me where when I feel like I'm starting to be like getting a groove of things, like my last career, I spent 8 years teaching and coaching, and things got comfortable, and I was just, I need something to shake this up. I've always been a trial by fire kind of guy, so I needed to bring the fire. I changed careers, and man, am I living in it now. So those two, live every moment like it's your last. Things get heavy, find the strength. All right, so to move into this week, episode 17. Let me start by showing you a quick TikTok.
Falling away from me, falling away from me.
You may have seen this, and it's been sent to me by a bunch of people. There's a viral video, and the first one I saw was this guy in a shirt and tie, dressed up professionally, and he's in like a high school weight room with some young ladies in the background, and he deadlifts 585 pounds, which is a very impressive number. It's no world-setting record, it's nothing like that, but it's like, this is a professional person doing something in their work clothes, and it just looks so natural, and it just happens. And then you look at the views, and my man's got like a couple million views on there, and that's 585 deadlift. I've done that before, and I dress like that for work too. So you roll up and open the video, and I dig in a little further. So I learn a little bit more about the guy's account. And then a couple months later, another one pops up. And now it's a guy in a shirt and tie, dressed up, same guy, dressed up, shirt and tie. He's got a radio on his pocket. Like, okay, that's my life. I don't always wear a tie, but I wear a shirt, dress shirt. Sometimes I wear a tie. I always got a radio in my pocket. He's in a weight room with a bunch of what looks like high school football players. Nice weight room, I might add. Great weight room. And he lays down on a bench, does 405 bench for 2 reps. Again, amazing for like a normal standard human who's just at work. In the powerlifting world, he's not breaking any records, not setting any records, but it's like, wow, that dude's got, and it wasn't like it was a struggle. He did 2, he probably could have cranked out a bunch more. And I dug deeper into that story. So that person is Alexander Murcia. He is an assistant principal down in Huntsville, Alabama. I reached out coldly on Instagram. Let's take a shot. I mean, he's got 10,000 followers on Instagram, 10,000 followers on TikTok. And I was like, we're kind of similar. So he's an assistant principal down at a high school down there, pretty close to size in ours. I'm an assistant principal up here in Maryland. He's a big deadlifter, and I was impressed by his deadlift. I've deadlifted pretty good numbers. He hits a big bench. I hit a big bench. And then people started sending me this video. My one of, like 3 of my best friends did. My tattoo artist, a couple of coaches are all that I work with are sending me this video. Like, you need to come down and hit a bench in your work suit so you can get the same sort of recognition. And I'm looking at it like a challenge. I was like, all right, well, let me watch a couple more of his videos. And I started working out like I was going to challenge this guy on social media and go after him. And I was going to cut like a WWF style promo. And then he beat me. He was doing muscle ups, which I've never really tried. I can't really do that down here. So he was knocking those out, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I could compete with that. He's a CrossFit guy. He's a CrossFit coach. There was a video of him deadlifting 585 for 2 reps. I tried it. I actually hurt myself. I mean, I'm better now, but it was a small tweak I had in my shoulder. And I was like, man, I don't know if I can compete with this guy. And then I just kind of reorganized my thoughts. And I was like, you know what? Let me focus on me and be as selfish as I need to be when I'm down here in the weight room and I'm losing weight and I'm going through. We have different goals. He is a CrossFit competitor, a CrossFit coach. I am a bodybuilder, I guess, is where I'm at right now. And I don't compete in that sort of field anymore. Like, I'm more of an aesthetic thing. So I don't want to hurt my goals because I'm trying to chase someone else. So I was like, let me take it a different route. I reached out to him on Instagram. Hey man, you want to be on the podcast? Sure, I'd love to. So here it is. All right, today my guest to start out a fun series of podcasts. This is episode number 17, I believe. My guest today is Alexander or Alex Murcia. Alex, how are you?
Pretty good, man.
Thanks for joining me on Dragons and Demons, and we'll get into a lot more here, and I feel like it's going to be a pretty fun conversation. But before we get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm an assistant principal at the largest high school in our district. Freshman academy principal is my technical role. Coach a 5 a.m. CrossFit class Monday through Friday. I got a wife and 2 kids, and I play in a band on the weekends. I love riding motorcycles. And
there's another thing I didn't know, man. You got a full plate. So how big is your high school? How many students are in there total?
We got about 2,000.
Okay, so we're about 1,800, pushing 1,900, so we're about the same size.
Yeah.
So again, I'm new to this whole AP thing. I'm new to assistant principal. I was a teacher for 10 years and a football coach, and I transitioned into the role. So I'm always looking for people who I can kind of gather some wisdom from, gather some knowledge from. Yeah. But where did you start? What was your educational background? What got you into it?
I came from a family of educators. My dad was a college professor for about 35 years, and I taught in the classroom for 17 years. And halfway through my 17th year, the superintendent came down and said, "We need you over here." And I said, "Okay." So that's kind of where I shifted.
Nice. What content did you teach?
So I taught, my first couple of years was in high school. Sociology, psychology, history. Then I taught in middle school for about 8 years. I did civics, government, and world history. And then I moved to high school. And about for the last almost 10 years, I did AP human geography, AP world history, and AP European history.
Awesome. That's I was just a woodshop teacher, but yeah. But I found a lot of joy in it. And I got a chance to also teach 1 PE class a year. So I was the head football coach to give me a football class, which was me just practicing and having them lift while I was there. So how did you start your work transitioning from teaching to assistant principal? The superintendent approached you, but what other things went into that conversation and that decision? Because I get that all the time. Why'd you leave teaching? Why'd you leave coaching? And how'd you end up here?
I mean, honestly, it was for the financial aspect of it, because my dad, since I told you he was a college professor for 35 years, he kind of helped us out financially. And then he had passed 2 years ago, and then after that happened, we were kind of struggling a little bit. So it was everything just kind of fell into place at the right time.
Yeah, man. Sometimes my dad passed when I was 17 years old, and that kind of, made my life, but some of the adversity you deal with makes some of the strongest people, and I can't speak enough on that. But we'll keep it positive, keep it moving forward.
Well, that's what I always tell the kids. I'm like, it's not what you're going through that makes you who you are. It's how you overcome what you've gone through that makes you who you are.
Right, and some of the most special kids you come across, at least in my case, and some of the most amazing careers that develop out of kids is because they've been through hell and back, and they've always found a way. And every kid has their day, every kid has their trauma, but it's always their response to it that seems to be the strongest characteristic that I've seen.
Yep.
So now we're on to the fun stuff.
what got you? What's your background in strength and really in athletics?
Um, believe it or not, man, I was a high school band nerd. But I've always been just, I guess, just blessed with genetics. I was always the strongest in my class since I was in kindergarten. Even when I was in band, I was stronger than, basically the whole football team. Then, I did the Globo Gym stuff for a while, and then I got introduced to CrossFit about 15 years ago. And just that's basically the extent of my exercise is CrossFit.
Okay. So when you were in high school, you didn't play any sports. It was all music. It was all band.
Yeah, I never played any sports. I played cello and orchestra, and then I did trombone, baritone, and tuba and marching band. And I played bass guitar and jazz band.
Well, I mean, that's pretty amazing. Like I said, some of the videos, and if it's all right with you, I'm going to splice some of the videos in that you post online because again, there's some feats of strength in there that are outstanding.
Yeah, that's for free.
All right, cool. So the CrossFit thing,
Mhm.
how's that going? What's that like? Did you always do that, or was that something that like more recently you've gotten into?
No, man, I started CrossFit probably back in, I think, 2008. At this gym that I was going to, there was this guy and doing all this weird stuff, and me and my buddy were in there, and we kind of gotten talking to him, and then my buddy was kind of trying it out, and he's like, "Hey, man, you got to check out this CrossFit stuff." So I said, "All right, man," and then never looked back. Ended up the gym ended up transitioning buildings, and they said, "Hey, what would it take for you to get your own room so you're not out here doing all this weird stuff, freaking everybody out?" And then they built the new establishment, and then all of a sudden it turned into, "Hey, you're gonna have to pay extra $100 a month for the CrossFit membership." And I was like, I thought the whole point of you doing this was, and so that kind of made it to where I went and got my level 1, started coaching, and then shortly after got my level 2, and now I'm a level 3 certified CrossFit trainer with 12 years of coaching under my belt, with not even, and that wasn't a dream, that wasn't a plan, it was just one of those accidental things that just kind of happened.
And CrossFit was always like a thing that was always in the gym, and I mean, I was always in 2008. I was exiting high school, transitioning to college, and I was training for college football and like doing my bigger, faster, stronger style workouts. And I'm seeing the CrossFitters like, that looks hard, but I'm gonna stick to this because this is what I need to do to get ready for football. And then going through some of them workouts, I'm like, man, I don't know about this. So then I moved to powerlifting. I've done some bodybuilding, but CrossFit's always been one that's like, you know what, I'm going to mix that workout in this week. And once a month, I'm going to go back and for cardio's sake and for just for fun, I'm going to jump in some cardio workouts. So, again, some of the videos that you're producing and you're putting out there. So you had the one that kind of struck me was your 405 bench in front of your class.
Oh yeah. I've done that several times. Yeah.
so that came across, and I'm a power lifter. I hold 2 state records in bench press, and I'm built like a dinosaur. I got a big chest and short arms, so bench came naturally for me. I've always been pretty good at it, especially around my peers. So I hold 2 state records, and your video got sent to me by like 15 people that are all like, "You're an assistant principal. Why don't you go do this?" And I was like, I just can't like make it happen. Like I can't walk into the weight room and just be like, "You guys maxing out today?" Like, how did your video come about?
One of the football players said, because I had done a couple more benches, and they're always asking me like, "How much can you bench?" And the joke at my other school that I was at, because I started the first high school CrossFit affiliate in the state of Alabama when I was at my school before I took my admin job. And so the joke with all the kids when they would say, "Hey, how much can you bench?" Since all they had were bumper plates, so my response was always all of it. So we would go in there one day and they're like, "How much can you bench?" I was like, "All of it." They're like, "What do you mean all of it?" I was like, "All of it, man. You put all the weight on the bar you can possibly fit, and I'll bench press it." So with bumper plates, it's only 405. So they put the 405 on there, and I hit it for a couple reps, and they were all oohing and awing. So that was kind of started that. And then when I got to my new job, they were asking me like, "Oh, hey, when are you going to come and work out with us?" I said, "Well, give me something fun. What are y'all doing today?" They're like, "Well, we're doing bench, man. You should come by. We're doing bench pressing." I was like, "Okay, man, I'll come and hit a couple of reps for you." And they're like, how much are you going to do? And, are you going to do like 225 or 315? I was like, no, man, I'll hit 405 for a couple of reps for y'all. And so, of course, none of them believed me. And
Right.
so I went down there, and I don't know, it was kind of like underwhelming, like the reaction from the kids, because I was expecting, you see like a lot of those viral videos where like the principal goes into like the weight room and all the kids are like jumping and going crazy. And it was kind of like crickets when I got done. I got up, was like trying to at least get them hyped up. And I was like, man, I wish y'all would have like got into that a little more. And I saw a kid video in it, and I was like, okay, now you're going to have to airdrop me that video, right? And he's like, yeah, I'll airdrop it to you. So then I posted it, and I was like surprised. So for some reason, like the TikToks, on my TikTok, it got a whole bunch of traffic, but then on Instagram, it didn't do nothing. But then some of the videos that I'll post on Instagram will blow up, and then on TikTok they'll get like 0 views. So I have no idea how that algorithm works.
It's a crazy place, and
Yeah.
something that I've noticed in lifting, when you go and lift in front of a bunch of high school kids, to them their ceiling is here, and if you go above it, if they're like they've never seen anything over a 225 bench, if you do like 315 to 700, they're going to be like, wow, like come on, man, I need a bigger reaction than that. That's way more than you think it is. Like, let's get you to get under it. One time I had a kid talking a bunch of trash, and he was failing at 225, and he was a big kid. I was like, let me get under it, make sure the bar works, make sure it's warmed up for you. So I get out and I crank out like 45 reps, and I hang it up, and all the kids in the weight room are like, how much was that? Like 45? I don't know.
That's a warm up weight.
Yeah. And they were like, they just, and I guess now it's starting to come together that like the way I look and the way I walk around the building and the way I carry myself, they're like, all right, he's just a freak. I don't want to compare numbers with him ever. Every now and then you get the kid that comes up and they're like, how much did you bench? So it's a lot of fun working with high school kids, especially when they start to obsess and get into the weight room thing and realize that. And then some of your other videos I've come across. So my head principal was a band teacher for a long time. He's playing guitar if he has a free second, like every now and then in his office over the summertime. So I showed him your video of you squatting, and I think it was squatting and playing a song with the bar on your back, just your hands were on the guitar. And I sent it to him, and I was like, what do you think of this? Could he get dual credit for band and for a PE class? And he was like, oh, he gets all the credit. And he was like, I am super impressed by that squat. And I was like, well, I'm super impressed by the guitar playing. I don't know how he could play that. So tell me a little bit about how your music background began. You said you played some in high school, and how that developed.
No, well, I've never known a time in my life where I haven't been able to play an instrument. So I started off really, really young. My mom was actually a classical pianist and opera singer. She did like world tours when she was a teenager. So I had that growing up. She was always playing piano and singing. So I was introduced to music at a very young age. So before I could even basically remember talking, I remember tooling around the piano. Went through piano, violin, finally found cello around like first, second grade, and then stayed in with cello until, high school. I was playing with college orchestras during the summer when I was in middle school, but then I got into high school and there really wasn't any opportunity to play cello. So I learned how to play trombone in 3 weeks, and then popped into the high school marching band. I was 6th chair out of 12 my freshman year with 3 weeks of experience under my belt of never having played a brass instrument before. So I picked it up pretty quick, and then kind of hopped around, noodled around a little bit on guitar in middle school. Then probably about junior year, sophomore year of high school, picked up the bass and kind of played in jazz band a little bit and started a little band there, and it just kind of snowballed, and this just kind of like music's just kind of a part of what I do.
Yeah, I mean, again, not just the music is impressive, but the fact that you can put a bar on your back and then you're CrossFitting at 5 a.m. and then getting up and going to play a concert that night. Like, it's amazing some of the things that you're able to do, and inspirational. So
Hey
appreciate.
man, naps.
Yeah,
It's all about naps.
yeah, I agree with that. So speaking on that, so I saw in your profile and you talked about it. You're a father, you're an assistant principal, you are a CrossFit coach, you run a class, you work out yourself, you're a musician, you're in a band, you're into motorcycles. How do you balance it all?
Just I don't even think about it, man. Just I wake up in the morning and I have fun all day, and luckily I figured out ways to get paid to have fun, so it kind of worked out.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. I mean, balance has always been a huge thing for me. Again, I went from coaching football where it was like during football season, I'm putting in 16, 20-hour days just to find out the one little advantage. And then after that career was over, it was like, I have so much free time. Now, what can I do with it? So I was like, let me get this home gym rocking. Let me get things going here. And I pick up podcasting, having a little fun there. And even if I don't make a dime from either one, it's just something that fills my time, makes me feel happy, and it's again a skill, something that I can share. So I'm sure
Yep.
you're probably in the same mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So back to the AP thing. So I'm in it now for a year and a few months. So I'm relatively green. I'm new to all this. So what advice would you have for me or for someone who's looking to get into the role?
Man, you know what? We're about in the same boat, man. I started September of 22, I think.
Okay.
This is my first full year of admin, but it's just like the amount of work that I do every day. I joke around with the folks, and say, if you come to my school, you get about 5 years of experience every year that you're there. And just historically, they've had a really high admin turnover rate because folks get in there, 2, 3 years, and then they push them off and give them their own school somewhere. And they've already approached me and said, hey, let me know when you're ready for the principal gig. And I said, man, not anytime soon. I like the amount of responsibility that I have, but then having the head principal to be able to say, hey, well, I understand your concerns, but let me go ahead and run it by so and so just to make sure that we can do whatever it is like this. So I like having a little safety net.
And one thing that I've always been considered, and people have actually congratulated me on getting athletic director jobs when I've never even applied. But I'm
Yeah.
like, the difference there is like as an athletic director, you're locked in an office worrying about all the sports problems kind of by yourself. Whereas for our administrative team, there's a team of us. So
Mhm.
if like we need to bounce ideas off one another, if I need to talk to someone who runs a different part of the alphabet in our case breakdown, or I can always go to the head principal and we can troubleshoot and come up with ideas. So that's one big advantage of being on our team.
Yeah.
And like you said, 5 years of experience per year. We were talking the other day about something that happened earlier this year, and we're all scratching our heads like, that was this year. It feels like that was like 4 or 5 years ago, and it's like, nope, that was like 4 months ago.
Right.
So time flies, and your days, and that's one thing that I was told going into education was you're never going to be rich, you're never going to be poor, but you're always going to have a new day, and you're always going to be happy. And man,
Yep.
I can't tell you, especially my first few days on the job, it was like every day was a new TV movie that I could reference into. Like the first day was like this movie, the second day was like this movie. Now I'm like a CSI. Now I'm like this. It was just
Mm-hmm.
a lot of fun. It's chaos, but that's always been where I've enjoyed the most of my time in my career anyway. So, so again, I have a lot of listeners that are coaches and athletes and even aspiring administrators. What advice would you offer for, say, a high school kid who's trying to figure out life, because they all are trying to do that every single day?
Man, biggest thing is use high school as an experience to kind of test out a whole bunch of different stuff. Figure out where your interests are, and then use that as an opportunity moving forward. Don't expect to have your whole life planned out by the time you hit your senior year. For the kids that know exactly what they want to do, great, but there's a lot of them that are getting too stressed out, feeling pressure that they have to have their whole life figured out by the time they're 17, which is not the case. And then one of the big things that I stress to them is finding yourself, because then they can kind of move forward in a positive way and select career paths that are going to give their life purpose rather than just trying to hop into something just to make a quick buck and then bouncing around careers and stuff and never really, finding their true place in life.
Right. And I'll tell kids all the time, and I'll usually start the conversation that we have is, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they sit there and they go, I'm like, don't worry, I don't know either. And I'm sitting here as a administrator of the building at 34 years old, and the kids are looking at me like, you don't know? I'm like, who knows? In 10 years, I could be called up for a different job or some opportunity will come up. You just never know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to operate every job as if it's, you just pour your heart and soul into it, and hopefully something better comes up, or you stick with it and things just keep growing for you. So,
Yep.
all right. So you said you're the freshman academy principal. So do you only work with ninth graders, or does it blend?
Well, primarily, I just work with ninth graders. If if a situation happens at school where I need to step in or one of the other admins are out, then we kind of tag team with stuff. We each have our own grade level of kids we're responsible for. We also have like extra, like I call it like my side job. So I'm also the safety coordinator. So I'm the one that gets to do all the drills, I get to do all the safety checks and, enter in any of like the behavior threat assessment stuff. I get to do all that.
Gotcha. So, and let me ask you this. How tall are you?
5'8" on a good day.
About what I am. So walking around the building with a similar build to what I have, what kind of funny comments do you get from kids or from parents as they come through the building?
Well, I always wear my suit jacket all the time. So I'm not, I guess I got more kind of what you call like a sleeper build at work because my jackets fit like super tight, but like the way they fit tight, you can't tell that they're tight. You know what I'm saying?
Got the square shoulders. It looks like a jacket. It
Yeah.
doesn't look like it's a t-shirt or something.
Yeah. So they're like thinking that I have shoulder pads in my jacket, but there ain't no shoulder pads in my jacket.
Right. We had a kid enrolling yesterday, and I don't know where he's coming from, but his dad was like, looked me up and down, and it was a Friday, so we dressed down a little bit. I was wearing a t-shirt and jeans, and he was like, dang, what do you lift? And I was like, I don't know, children, cars, whatever needs to be lifted. And he just assumed that I was like the school resource officer or some security guy. And I was like, no, I'm just the principal. Nice to meet you. I'll be working with your kid. And he's like, what?
Yep. Yeah, I often get mistaken for security by parents when they come in.
Right.
They're like, "Oh, you're wearing a tie today?" I'm like, "Oh, wear a tie every day."
And when we're casual, I always get different questions as well because
Yeah.
I'm covered in tattoos. So they're also like, what are you doing? And I usually wear a shirt and tie Monday through Thursday. Not always a tie, but I definitely wear long sleeves. And not that anyone tells me to. It's just I just try and be a little more professional than when I was the woodshop teacher wearing shorts every single day. So
Yeah.
So 5 a.m. CrossFit class. What time does your school day start?
I usually my actual day I work out before I coach 5 a.m. So I get up at 3:30 and the gym's just 2 minutes down the street. So I'm usually out of bed and at the gym warming up by 3:40. Leave my house about 6:50, so that way I try to get to work about a little after 7, and then I usually am there until, depending if there's no games or nothing after school, try to usually dip out about 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Okay. I mean, that's very similar to me. I'm 3:30. I'm up. I'm down here from like 4 to 5. I go upstairs, eat breakfast, and I joke with the kids that I sit down, I put on my shirt and tie, and I eat a nice full course meal. But then I shower and stuff and get ready. I'm at school probably 6:30 most days. I'm there till, depending on, like you said, if we have events or things after school, I'm there till 3:30, depending on the day and what's going on. We also have this thing called Links. It's like it's another program in our school that has like extended day. So some kids can take courses after school and there's learning opportunities. We have like a extended government funded or grant funded study hall, like after school, where teachers are there getting paid to work with kids. So sometimes we have to stay and cover that. So, I mean, very similar time frame for me, but I mean, a lot of the questions I get, especially from kids, and really what's kind of gotten me a little bit of steam as far as training, it's been how do you get up at 3:30 a.m. and do this every day?
Don't have a choice. One of the good motivating factors is that I get paid to coach my CrossFit classes. So that's kind of like grocery money in a sense. So when we get those checks in bi-weekly, it's a nice little pad in between those monthly education checks,
Right.
And then like the band checks, those are kind of nice little extra little chunk, for, groceries or, whatever we need it for.
Yeah, I'm just down here for personal gain, I guess. But I mean, I do kind of coach a couple people online, but man, I'm here for my sanity's sake and try and make something better. And someday when I'm old and gray and most people are hobbling around the building, hopefully I'll still be spry and able to move in and jump around when I need to. So that's kind of the goal.
Well, this glorious beard was black about 10 years ago, and as you can see, it's not anymore.
I'm starting to get like patches here and there that just turn white. I've skipped gray in some spots.
Yeah.
My hairline has gotten much worse over the last 12 months.
Just wait, man. Just wait till you clock over 40, and then everything just hurts all the time.
Right. I mean, I've been there. So when I was powerlifting, I was 322 pounds. I'm like 5'8", 5'9", so everything hurt a lot then too.
Yeah.
Kind of got my life back in order, got lost a bunch of weight. I'm down to about 250 now. So a whole lot better. My cardio just got better. I don't even do cardio, but I'm able to go up and down stairs. Like during the school day, kids will laugh at me because I run up the stairs.
Yeah.
I might look like a nerd, but to me, it's a stretch because usually I'm sore from whatever most recent leg day it was. So let me just run up these stairs and get there faster.
Yeah.
Man, it's a lot of fun working in schools like that, and the impact that you have on kids is a lot of fun, and seeing the impact that you've had even broader is, again, kind of inspirational for me because people might just kind of like and laugh at your videos and see some of your things that you do, and they're just like, man, this guy's awesome. I wish I had a principal like that. Have you read through the comments on some of your videos?
Yeah, I did. I think one of the things that gets me the most is the whole reason all this kind of started is back about a decade ago when, social media started getting big with the kids. I was noticing they kept scrolling through nonstop on their phones. So maybe like 4 years ago, 5 years ago ish, somewhere around there, TikTok was kind of getting big. And so I told them, I was like, you know what, man? I was like, I want to make a TikTok account just so I can get a video that's going to pop up on your For You page while you're in class. And when it does, that's going to be your reminder. And you let all your friends know that when you see me pop up on your TikTok during class, put your phone up and get back to work. And they're all like laughing, like whatever. So I did one of my first big ones that went big. I did this 585 deadlift, which, once again, it was how much can you deadlift? I just had one of my buddies, he donated 6 45-pound plates, irons. So, mixed in with bumpers, most they could get is 585 on the bar. So, how much can you deadlift? All of it. Oh, let's see. So they put it up. I got a couple little warm-up sets because I ain't going to blow my back out,
right?
For whatever. So I got a couple little sets. They're all like oohing and on. And, they hit my 585. Once again, kids got the phone out video. And I'm like, hey, go ahead and airdrop that to me. Yeah, I'll airdrop it to you. All right, great. So, hit it and then posted it up on TikTok. It got, a little over 3 million views on it. And then slowly it was like, hey, you came up on my For You page today. I was like, where were you? In class. I was like, what'd you do? Like, oh, I forgot. I was supposed to put my phone up. I was like, okay, great. And then that one just started like circulating amongst the kids. And that was kind of how it all started up. But it was just real fun, especially when I looked through some of the comments that some of the kids are kind of giving me attitude. I'm like, man, I was like, some of these kids just wishing they had what you had. And then they would go like read the comments and they're like, whoa, man, that's really cool, man. I can't believe like all these kids are like watching it. And I was like, yeah, so, because I'm not the type that raises my voice, So I've never raised my voice with the kids. I never talk down to them. I'm always like, overly positive and uplifting, to when they're coming in with issues or whatever, even if they're like misbehaving. The principal, he was laughing at me one day because there was like some really mad parent that we had to do some disciplinary actions with the kid. And so they came in all like angry, thinking that they come in mad, they're going to get rid of it. And, by the time we got done, like we're both laughing and they're walking out, we're cutting up and, slapping fives. And I'm like, okay, great. So, it's going to be 5 days out of school. So we'll see them, next Thursday. And then she's all, and we were laughing and cutting up and they're leaving. And they're like looking at me like, what just happened? And I was like, word my magic, man. So he made a joke. He was like, you're like the parent whisperer. I was like, no, man, we're on the same page with their kid. Like both of us want what's best for their kids. So it kind of, works out when they see like, hey, if I wanted a job beating kids, I would have gone to like, juvenile correction where I could, like legally hit them. But like, I don't. Like, I want to see them do better. Like, you want to see your kid do better, right? They're like, well, yeah. I was like, okay, well, let's work together, man, because we're supposed to be on the same team working for your kid. But, this is what Huntsville City Schools policy is on this offense they committed. So, I can stretch. We can do 5 days out of school and call that. And it's a little more reasonable than just calling them. Oh, your kid's here we go again.
Parent whisperer. You said you're the parent whisperer. So, I mean, man, sometimes dealing with parents can be the hardest, but can be the easiest things. I like to base it around relationship with kids, man. And if the parent you're working with can see that the kid actually can like go from 60 to 0 and they can really de-escalate with you around, like some of the kids I work with, where they could be in their worst state of mind and just after a couple minutes they can walk out there joking and high-fiving. Like you said, the parent, you can see that that air kind of leave them too. So I mean, that's always my advice for new admin is like, man, just be genuine, be authentic, and be real. Like, no one has to fake it, and there's no disciplinary action that needs to be forced. I mean, we have policies we need to follow, but it's all about relationships. And I know that's probably oversaid at this point, but it's real.
Yeah, it really is, though, man. One of the biggest things that you can do that's going to make the greatest difference sometimes is just listening. Right. A lot of the times when parents come in angry, it's because they don't feel heard. And, 9 times out of 10, knock on wood, that when they come in and they're frustrated and I let them vent, sometimes they'll be getting a little bit loud, but I don't ever match their energy. If the kids are getting loud or parents getting loud, I'm trying to, talk even calmer, even softer to kind of to bring them down. But what I've noticed is, the majority of the time after they kind of are able to vocalize all of their angers and frustrations, then sometimes they find solutions of the problem that I didn't even really have to get involved in.
Right.
And I just sit there and listen to them, and it kind of works itself out,
Sometimes they stumble upon things that you're like, oh, I was about to suggest that, but okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's kind of where we were headed. So I'm glad you brought up and it was your idea, not mine. So
yeah.
That's always a fun way to win. And you said you don't like to raise your voice, and I'm kind of in the same place. Sometimes I'll raise my voice just to be ridiculous and fun, like especially in the morning time when these kids are still half asleep and they're zombies and I'm still wired for my workout. So I'm screaming out in the morning and saying ridiculous. When the eclipse was happening, I'd say, "Good morning, have a great day, don't look up." And they're all like, why are you saying that? I'm like, don't look at the sun. Never mind, go to class, go to science. Yeah. So the last thing I have to bring up to you is, so when your video came across my feed, I did see your deadlift and I did see your bench press video, and everyone sent that to me. I was like, maybe there's a way that I can cut like a WWE style promo and just start trash talking. And like our school versus their school. Let's have fun with it. Let's make it about school. Let's make it about education. So I was all fired up, and I was like, I'm going to make a couple videos. And then when our strength training class does max outs, I'm going to go in a shirt and tie and do like a rep more than what he did and just kind of start the banter. But then I saw you deadlift 585, and I was like, man, I haven't deadlifted in a while. Let me go make sure I can actually do this. So I started doing it, and then I strained my delt and my lat. I was like, man. Like I hit the weight that you did. Like, I think you did 585 for like 2 reps or something like that. And I was on my first rep and it went up, and I was like, oh, all right, I'm not competing ever again. Like, I'm gonna focus on my workouts. He does CrossFit. You're doing the muscle ups and things that I would hit my head down here. But the things that I was like, I don't want to do, but I was everyone was like, "Are you gonna say something to him first?" I was like, "I don't know. Maybe I'll just call him and be like, hey, do you want to do this, or maybe I'll just do it and post the video and just tag him and see how he'd respond." So that was kind of my original reason for reaching out to you. But again, the videos that you post, man, we appreciate them. The kids appreciate them. Um, that's all the questions I have. Do you have any questions for me or anything you want to ask me about?
Man, I just, thankful I got some more like-minded people because I ran across, I'm going on almost my 20th year in public education. I just flipped over to year 19. So this is, I've been in it for a while, and you run the whole gambit with the various types of administrative personalities, man, and just to like be able to meet somebody, that's like-minded on the same page, it just kind of gives me hope for our educational system, man. I wish we had, more folks like you, and hell, I wish we worked closer together, man, because dude, I couldn't imagine like if both of us on the same team in the same building, like dude, man, oh man, I can't even think about what type of school that would be, man. It would be crazy, dude.
Right. It'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, we had one of our assistant principals at a pep rally. He did like climbed up a ladder and did a backflip off it. And we all started searching on YouTube for his stuff. He was a WWE style wrestler back in his days. He was able to do all these flips and things like that. And he was a big built guy. I was like, man, maybe I could be like that someday. Now that I think about it, I've jumped over tables as I'm running to the scene of an altercation. I've done a lot of fun things like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's fun working with people that you like and people that you're similar to. And there's a lot of people on our team. How many administrators are in your building?
Oh, we have 5 total. We have 1 head principal, and then we have 4 assistants.
So because of some of the grant funding and things we have 6 assistants, our head principal, and then our athletic director is an administrative type of position where she does like some of the security and some of the facilities based things as well.
Yeah.
So we have a huge team, and being my first year and a half, and everyone in our district, they usually tend to take an assistant principal after 3 or 4 years and rotate them out to another school just to mix up their experience. And everyone's like, "Are you leaving after this year?" And I'm like, you know what? I hope not. Like I'm really in a good place of learning, and I'm still in that place where some of the kids and other staff members look at me as coach and teacher and not quite administrator yet. But I'm
Yeah.
still in a really good place with a great team where, man, the learning is just so much easier because I know where all my resources are. I know where everything's available. And I have some great people around me that I can learn from. But like you said, it'd be a lot of fun to work next to you and like-minded people. And even then, like I look around our staff, I'm like, who could I get a workout in? If I wanted to start going into school and working out at 5 a.m., there's like 2 other people that would actually show up. And
Yeah.
yeah, so
Well, hey, another thing to kind of think about is getting like some, workout clubs and stuff going, especially with, because that's one of the things when I started my CrossFit affiliate at the school, it was one of those like scale back Alabama, like they call it like the fat loss challenge or whatever that they're doing, which I like to phrase it as like a restrictive eating window, where people are going to sit there and do like these really restrictive diets for 5 weeks and then go and binge eat after they're getting done. And I try to relate to the teachers because, when folks are trying to eat healthier, they're always trying to tempt them. I'm like, man, if I walked into an AA meeting with a bottle of Jack Daniels, sipping it in front of recovering alcoholics, like y'all would call me an asshole, like, what is this guy doing, man? Like drinking Jack Daniels from these addicts. I was like, dude, food's the exact same way, man. You got folks struggling to come off eating sweets and candy and trying to eat healthier, and you're like, well, what's one donut gonna hurt? I'm like, hey, well, what's one shot gonna hurt? What's one beer gonna hurt? And they're like, it's not the same. I was like, no, it is the same. And in fact, your diet stuff is going to be way more detrimental to your health over the long run. And they're like, what? But anyways, so I started the New Century CrossFit during that weight loss challenge, and I had kids and I had teachers both coming to work out and looking at the relationships and community that it was building, because now you get the teacher with the student, and I'm watching them both cheer each other on, both being supportive of each other, because it's like everybody sees the teachers being supportive of the kids, but being in a situation where the kids are now being supportive of their teachers, man, it was like a game changer for some of these teachers that were like burned out, ready to just call it quits. And then now they're like, man, I got my students in here. They're like cheering me on and saying good things about me. And and it was really like, some little game changer for a lot of them. So that's something that I'm looking to get started at the school that I'm at now, probably sometime next year, but trying to find the right faculty member that wants to kind of spearhead that initiative. Cause I'm at the point now where I was always getting involved in tons of stuff in the school, but now I'm trying to step back and more take that admin role of, hey, these are my visions. Who can help the vision come to life? Who would like to kind of help with this? And then now get some folks where I was at, 15 years ago, and kind of help guide them into those positions.
And I think that'd be interesting for the dynamic and the relationship between teacher and kid. I mean, my kid's in first grade and he just assumes the teacher sleeps and lives at the school. So when we see his teachers outside of the school, he's like, "What are you doing at the grocery store? You shouldn't be here. You should." And I think that would go a long way, like that dynamic, like you said. I mean, we've seen people at their broken down worst in the weight room when they're exhausted, or they just missed the lift, or that they are crushed in some physical feat, and someone's there to be like, "Hey man, you got this." Like, and I've always said the difference between powerlifting and football and other team sports is like your biggest enemy on the platform is your best friend backstage. Like
Yep.
they could be like they crushed you by 10 pounds, but they're going to come back and ask for your advice because they see how hard you're working. And I think that dynamic would be a huge game changer for teachers, like you said. That would be very interesting to see. That might be something that we need to get running at our school.
Yeah, like anything you need in the future, man. If you got any questions about, how to get stuff, started or rolling, like if you don't have any networks up there, man, I'll be more than happy. You consider me a part of your, professional development network, right? Learning community or whatever, like 110%, man.
Awesome. I really appreciate that. And I'll definitely take you up on that offer because, like I said, I'm learning a lot and I got a lot more to go. So, and vice versa. I mean, whatever else I can share with you, I'm an open book, and I'm I'm just kind of swimming in it, but we'll figure it
Yep.
out and we'll get there. I mean, like I said, it's a fun every day, but I'm learning so much every single day. And whether it's something in social studies that I've never studied before and I'm now the administrator in charge of, or if it's something in a relationship between a 14-year-old kid I never met before and I have to work with them and I have to de-escalate them today, then that's something new I'm going to learn and do my best at it.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
well, man, I appreciate you coming on. Again, I can't say enough about your videos. Hopefully we can start some back and forth things going on here. And thanks again for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, it's my pleasure, dude.
What an amazing conversation. Again, someone who's gone viral for several videos, and some of the talent that he has on social media and the video things that he displays are amazing. I mean, we on the spot, I feel like we developed a chemistry and a friendship that I'm gonna be hitting him up for a long time. And if it's not to pick his brain about being an AP, it might be about lifting things, it might be about social media things, but I don't know if he knows this yet, but he's really grown. He's a friend, and I'm gonna treat him as such. And as long as I don't bother him too much, I think it goes the other way as well. But our conversation was amazing. I mean, he's down to earth. He's open. He's honest. It seems like he has an incredible impact on his school-based community, which he said he's been in the job for a year and a half, which is about as long as I have. So I feel like he's much stronger than I, and I appreciate the conversation. I wish him the best of luck. I know he's competing in CrossFit soon. I know he plays music gigs all the time, and I wish him the best of luck. I will definitely be in contact with him, and I'm definitely going to slide a couple of his videos. If you haven't watched them already here on this episode, then I'm definitely going to be reposting them all the time. But man, what an inspiration. Someone who came from education, someone who was a longtime teacher, and he's 40 couple years old now. So he's like 10 years older than me, and he's still, I mean, if I were to compete against him in that deadlift, I hurt myself. So I guess he won that battle. But again, a huge inspiration, someone who's got it all together, he's got it all balanced out, and he's able to juggle so many things and do it well and be good at all of those things. There are people like this in the world. He's not someone that doesn't sound like things just came natural and automatic for him, that he's been a worker. He's been someone who's always tried his hardest to compete. And People like this amaze me, and this is really what the podcast is all about, is finding people who do special things, but it's not given to them. They've run it down, they've chased it down, they've worked for it, and they continue to grind day in and day out. And to him, getting up at 3:30 in the morning is just second nature. He just has to do it. And that's kind of where I'm at. Like, yeah, I could skip a workout in the morning, and I could do a workout after school. I could give up on it, but I could also cheat on a meal. I could go upstairs and eat some ice cream right now, but it's been 110 days now, and I haven't done that. So why would I start now? So again, Alex Murcia, you're the man. I appreciate you coming on. I look forward to talking to you again in the future. I've been telling everybody else that maybe we run this back, and maybe we'll find ourselves meeting up in person someday, getting a workout in or something like that. So with that, that's the end of this episode. Already have the next one planned out, and I think it's going to be another great conversation. I've really been looking forward to this one as well. It's one that's been in the works and in planning since the beginning of this podcast. So I've been very excited about that one. So check it out. As always, like, subscribe, and follow, and more stuff to come. Have a great Tuesday. It's Tuesday morning. It's 3 o'clock. I'm stirring to get out of bed, or heading down here right now to get my workout in. I will be up. I hope you are. It's going to be the best day ever as long as you set your mind to it, and that's the way it's going to be. All right. I'm out.